So the bit that I just wanted to have a look into further myself was about the individual responsibility. YLCA have, I can read you this just so that this bit is. Should have highlighted it now so I could have found it straight away. That would have been easy, wouldn't it? Just be a moment.
I'm really appreciative of the break, by the way, for all the talking I have to do.
Okay, so it's this section here that I'd just like to highlight out in terms of responsibility of an individual and responsibility of a council as a whole. So it's all councillors are involved in finance, even if it is only to be part of the full council meeting that approves the budget increase at demand and will be expected to fill in the bank mandate. However, no individual councillor has liability for the council's finances. The council as a corporate body is liable. So I just wanted to make that clear because obviously when we pitched it forward that could sound quite scary that one individual is responsible. Obviously you have duty and responsibility, but it is the council as a whole, and that's from LCA.
I have read that.
Okay.
You know, we are collectively a corporate body. I have also done other research that says in spite of that, can town and parish councils be liable? Yes, town and parish councils are corporate bodies defined by statute. As such, they are not exempt from or above the law. The buck stops with the council and councillors, not with the town or parish clerk, who is local government employee. And so, if there were to be, so what does jointly and severally legally responsible mean? Councils are responsible as individuals and collectively for decisions and actions of their council. That means that in some circumstances, that all councillors and individual councillors can be pursued in courts for recompense. And that was confirmed to me as well by the local district council I spoke to. So,
could I just ask purely the source only because
yes,
that's obviously our body that we use?
Actually, it was. No, do you know, it was. I've cut the top of the page off my photograph. I'm very sorry about that. But it was another local council body.
Would you mind just applying that purely so I can go back to my
That's
LCA?
fine. I will do that. Yeah. But I'm sorry, I can't do it right at this moment.
That's fine. Thank you, Susan.
Cheers, thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, I'll take Susie's proposal for your proposal. And can I take a second with them, please? Yep. Okay.
Can I?
Are there any other comments?
Just to clarify, is the proposal that we all be on the Finance and General Purposes Committee, that we all attend? Is that the?
You may opt to.
You may opt to, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
Provided there's a minimum of 6.
Yeah.
Which there are already.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Sorry. And I'll let you go.
Sorry,
No.
somebody else first.
I think you
Don't stop talking.
All I wanted to ask was if, presumably, at the point where you get this committee, at that point people would have to say, I want to be in it. It's not a pick and mix through the year. Is that the right?
Yeah, you can make a request.
Because they'll be on this week, but I won't come next week. Because that would become unwieldy. And the other thing is, would that change the chorus then? Or could you say that, I don't think I remember the word, but say instead there's now going to be 10 on it and there was so many, does that mean that you'd have to have more to be quorate?
That's 4.
That
You decided it's half.
Yeah, thank you. My concern is only about the, my concern is about it becoming unwieldy and having people who say they want to come and don't attend. So I don't know if there's any mechanism for, she might think it's a good idea and then think actually I don't want to come to all these meetings. And is there any mechanism for anything you could do about that? Because otherwise you could end up with a series of non-quorate meetings that you can't advance anything.
It's a very good point to raise, and obviously being quorate for meetings is, I'm not sure that there is a specific, it's a little bit like you can give your apologies to any meeting, and it would be the same for that in terms of like forcing people to go to a meeting. I'm not sure you could actually do that or you could set like
if you were, if I'm to do that, if you had a minimum 6 and you were at, say, 10 people, and somebody said, actually, I don't want to do this anymore, they could presumably formally leave that committee without having to be replaced. At the moment with 6, I may be wrong on this, but if there was, out of the 6, if somebody said, I'm sorry, I can't do that committee anymore, presumably they would have to make it back up to the 6. So provided it was more than 6, somebody could leave if they wanted to, and it wouldn't cause an issue in terms of replacing them.
I think my concern was more that sometimes people can be dysfunctional and that if they wanted to make sure that nothing ever happened, all they had to do was on that committee and never turn up.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of my life looking at worst case scenarios, so that is rather my spot today, I'm afraid.
I'll just bring Sarah in and then I'll come to you, Steve.
Me forever being sort of procedurally correct. I mean, firstly, I'm prepared to sort of, not push on this one, but actually, what's being proposed is not an amendment to this proposal, it's a completely different proposal, because the proposal says to recommend that all parish councils should be appointed to the F&GP, but actually, the amendment is proposing something different. But if the chair rules that we should take what Susie's proposed as an amendment to this proposal, then it would have to, in terms of accuracy of minutes and things, it would have to negate all of that and put the amendment in instead. That's the first point. Second thing, I'm in agreement with Carolyn that I think, good points, that the body needs to be manageable. I would think, particularly in terms of such an important committee as the Finance and General Purposes Committee, it has to be a specific size. It can't just be, as many people decide they want to be on it, because you can't change the size of the committee during the course of a year if somebody pulls out or doesn't pull out. In order to know what the quorum is, we have to have it written down in our rules what the size of the committee is. Otherwise, we can't say what the quorum is. And so yes, I share the concerns about people might put the name down and then find, well, really it's more than they can take on, or they're not really that, they don't turn up. And then we've got those people on the committee, and then we can't function because we don't get a quorum. But more to me, I think, is the point that in terms of rules, and I would be interested to get some advice on this, the committee should have a specified size and named people elected to that committee and voted for and approved to that committee, and then we know what the quorum is. Because if it's just a bit kind of fluid, we find ourselves in a difficult situation.
Yes.
Particularly with money, we could find ourselves doing things we shouldn't do. And just an add-on to that, if we allow this, anybody who wants to be on the committee to be on it for F&GP, why not for all committees? Which then just multiplies that issue of having a named size of committee, named people. We know who they are, we know who's accountable, we know what the quorum is, and therefore we know what the circumstances are in which we can legitimately make decisions. So that's my views on it.
Can I just bring Stephen, because I know he's not spoken as much as possible.
Someone expressed a wish to be on the Finance and General Purposes Committee at the beginning of the session. They will remain on that until then. So it wouldn't be a matter of just turning up to meetings when you wanted to be on it. You would have a fixed number and just carry on through the year. Looking forward to item number 27.
Hang on, Steve, that's in the private part of the meeting.
I'm not going to read, but I can't understand it because I'm going to be asked to vote on something that I wouldn't have been allowed to attend
But that's,
There's
but
nothing being explained.
we have to take item 24. That's the bit that we're on.
Yes, I do understand that, but I'm just trying to say that.
Well, you can say that
make decisions
when
on
that-
something that we don't know.
When that item comes up, you can make that point then.
Yeah, I know. Yes, but I'm.
Sorry, but I'm going to rule that we take item 24, and we need to have comments on that specifically, because otherwise we'll jump all over the agenda. Susie, can I come back to you? So I think you wanted to.
Well, I'll just say that the reason and I can see that you are saying that it's a different proposal entirely, but that is in the light of the training which we attended last week and raising the questions we were able to, raise, and finding out that it would involve it being a council meeting, not a committee meeting.
Can I just point out, not all councils operate on, I understand that some councils do, and that's their decision,
Yes.
but obviously it's up to each council to decide how they think is the best way forward. So it's not just, I know that Featherstone Town Council operates the same as us, so does Hemsworth, so there's plenty of examples out there to say that a committee system also works as well.
Yes.
Where they go.
Just to balance up. If that
No,
makes sense.
so that's fair enough, and that's why I amended it.
Should the public be aware of that, how it operates?
All the terms of reference and standing orders and everything are on the website and everything like that for how all committees operate, and every single year it takes place at the first meeting as well. Sorry, John.
I just can't quite grasp it. I think if somebody brings something forward to the clerk, and it's a question that has to be dealt with by the Finance and General Purpose Committee, if we accept this amendment and we say that everybody is on basically anybody and everybody can be on the F&GP, the purpose of the committees is to investigate or look into in detail certain issues and then take them to the full council, having looked at them. If we're negating the purpose of the F&GP committee, if we say everybody's on it, because what we're having instead of a F&G committee, we're not adhering to the committee system. What we're saying is everything just goes to full council. So it will be another full council meeting. And if we do that for F&GP, well, I don't do it for amenities, well, I don't do it for all the other committees, which means we'd be in constant sessions. We'd have at least one full council meeting every week, and that's just, we're all volunteers, we're not, it's hard enough to get to, I'm on quite a lot of committees, it's hard enough to fit the time to do that. And if we then say 12 people are eligible for the F&GP committee, and there's got to be a quota of 50%, that means 6 people have got to turn up, we're going to be at this every Monday or every Tuesday, every Wednesday, throughout the year.
Yes.
Can I just come to one of you for final comment, if that's okay?
Yes.
Because I think we need to move to a question at a time, ticking on.
Well, with all due respect, there are 3 people here who were elected to every committee, and that isn't something that, that does rather lessen the spaces left for other people to be on those committees. And you yourself are one of them, I think, John, if you'll forgive me saying.
Sorry, I can't.
She would just, if I could just clarify, some councillors, I think I'm one of them as well, basically some of us have been elected to all committees, as was taking place at the first parish council meeting. But again, that goes through, in my defence I would say that goes through that process of which a vote takes place on the whole council. And I understand what you're saying, but that's the committee system of which we run.
Is that what you're saying?
It is basically that you're saying that you're on a lot of committees, but you were voted onto a lot of committees.
Yeah.
Yes.
What relevance is that to the point?
Well, that there are fewer spaces left for others to be on the committee
Who would want
who
to be
would perhaps have liked to be represented.
Okay, well, think, thank you for the discussion, everyone. I think we've had some debate there. I'm going to move to a vote then on the proposal as listed and as listed on the agenda, because I think that I'm not entirely 100% sure. I think the amendment, I think it needs more, similar to Andy's proposal, item 23, I think to do with more detail as to how, because personally speaking, this is just my view, I don't think it's a functioning committee or finance and general purposes committee if we have people jumping on and off. I think there's quite a lot of questions there that could do with a little bit of nailing down sort of thing. So, yeah, I'd like to move to a vote there if that's okay.
So what are we voting on? Are we voting on 24 or are we voting on what Susie's proposed?
I'm moving that we take a vote on item 24 as written on the agenda.
So not on the amended version.
As written on the
Is that
agenda.
yes, I know what?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a proposer and a seconder. Can I take votes in favour of agenda item 24, please? So we've got 3. Votes against? 6.
Can I ask a question which is related to this? It's not directly.
Can I move to the, just with time ticking on, I want to get to the private sector, so I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Can I just thank all the members of the general public for their attendance this evening? Thank you. We're moving to the private section.